Caddis Maximus here, this time with a review of the Bosch Bulldog Original 11224 VSR. These are the tool that really changed compact D-handle inline rotary hammers. Not because they were really the most powerful, but they are bankably reliable. It's the easiest way to put it. They won't last forever, especially if you really punish them or run them hard. However, you know that you'll always get a certain amount of hours and work done. Pretty much all, I know that most commercial contractors, at least in this area, you see hearing somebody run a rotary hammer, they're very distinctive sound, and you just see these distinctive colors. These Bosches really, this is actually one that's in better condition. I probably owned 3 or 4 of these over the years, and some of them just get so punished, just so ground down, just thrown around on the concrete. It's just amazing, really, the kind of abuse that they take. Now, as far as I know, all these original 11224 VSR ones are indeed made in Germany. I also know that the first generation of the Bosch Bulldog Extreme, the big brother this one right here, that they upgraded to, started off being made in Germany, but now they're made in Mexico. This has 1.6 foot-pounds of energy, impact energy, spins at 1300 RPM, and has the 4 modes, as all decent rotary hammers should. We have a drill only, we have a hammer drill, or a rotary hammer drill, and then we have a hammer chipping only with this special section here, which allows you, if you are using chisel bits, you can actually take the bits. Always make sure you grease the splines. A few of these a couple that I found, that's what ended up wearing or failing, was that all the work, they just never lubricated the splines. Concrete dust gets in there, and along with the sliding action of this bit going back and forth, it just grinds down those splines. So you really want to make sure. But the purpose of this right here is just so you can take a chisel bit, be able to line it, say, horizontally or vertically, and then lock it into the hammer mode, and see what it does now is it prevents that from wanting to rotate back and forth when you're using it for chipping operations. That's what makes it so good for removing tile, stucco, that type of stuff. There are wide flat blades made for getting up the grout or the adhesive when you do tile work. And one of the surprising alternative uses of one of these is when you take one of those spatula bits and you grind it till it's very like wood chisel sharp, and then you can use these for carving wood, and they work surprisingly well because it just hammers the chisel away. These always do have a distinctive sound. Actually, let's do a little demonstration on a piece of cinder block here. Alright, here's our little bit of a drill test. We'll be using a 5/8 bit here. And just a piece of cinder block. It's, I don't know, an inch thick or so. Regular old, well, not full cinder block, whatever this is, building block here. Not too bad. Let's do a little bit of chipping here too. We'll put that into that position where we can rotate this. We'll get it just about like that. Make sure that's locked. See if we can't break some of this apart. So it works pretty well for that. There we go. So as you can see, it actually did pretty well using that 5/8 bit. I did a review of the Harbor Freight Bauer rotary hammer against this Bosch Bulldog Extreme, and the Bauer was terrible, probably slower than this. These rotary hammers, and I should have mentioned earlier, actually have a break-in time. It's many hours. You know, people usually say 50 to 100 hours, and then they really hit their sweet spot, and it's because there's a whole piston design in here with an actual the impacting mechanism itself is a piston inside a cylinder, and what happens in here versus like a engine is that the whole cylinder is actually racking back and forth. That's the little bit of vibration that you feel. but it's very lightweight. And that was one of the genius things about this is, one, you have an aluminum piston that's very lightweight, so it overall reduces vibration that way. The piston has a seal on it, and what happens is the rod draws back, and there are a couple little vent holes, kind of like a 2-cycle engine, and the piston goes forward, delivers its impact, the whole cylinder retracts, it creates a little vacuum, and it racks that piston to the back, and then the motor sends the cylinder forward. The piston bounces off the back of the cylinder, basically compressing the air, and then both gets thrown and launched at the same time against a center rod, which has a little seal over it, and then directly into the bit. And so since the thing that's actually hammering the end of the bit is inside a cylinder and is being padded by a cushion of air, is one of the reasons that these have such low vibration, especially considering how much power they actually deliver. Because it is a piston in a cylinder, there is a break-in where everything just wears perfectly and really seats, and then it really glides with very low friction. And that's why you'll notice performance increase. This almost did better than this new one, just because this new one does not have dozens and dozens of hours on it. The Bulldog Extremes really are more powerful, but I know a couple of the reasons that they sell reasonably well, but you still see a lot of the original new ones. One is, even though this has 2.2 foot-pounds of energy, is more ergonomic. It has a big upgrade where it has a rotating brush card, so it's full power in reverse, so it's less likely that the bits get stuck and you have to use pliers to get them out. Is the fact that the Bulldog Extreme is quite a bit heavier. It's significantly heavier, and it's more bulky. It's just not as easy to wield as something that you can grab. The Bulldog Extreme is really good, but I think just about everybody would just be fine with something like this. And really what this couldn't do, you would really want a much larger rotary hammer. I would get one of the Extremes, or they have even a larger one, an Extreme Max, when you really need that kind of power in this form factor. But the difference is you can find these like new in the box for $120 or so, $140. The Extremes are going to be $150 to $175. The Extreme Maxes are going to be like $250. So you're paying quite a bit more money, but it's obviously diminishing returns over the original Bulldogs. Even though these do have rafter hooks and that kind of stuff, this is just a bit heavier and a bit bulkier. I think it's about the same overall length. Actually, I think it's shorter. That's a little bit, I never really noticed that. Let me get that real close here. No, it's about the same length. Anyway, that was kind of the point, was the fact that these Extreme ones and the Extreme Maxes are awesome, but they're kind of ruined the character. And the character of the Bosch Bulldog was the fact that it was a pretty narrow body, compact rotary hammer that really did deliver bankably, that you would get a certain amount of work out of it. You don't have to worry about it, failing. These things have really proven themselves. But just like this one that I found at a Goodwill, they can be pretty beat up and not, look like, oh, that's a pretty torn up tool. And in reality, this thing is, probably right in its sweet spot where it's really just hammering pretty hard. Really an amazing little concrete tool that is surprisingly versatile. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.